Okay, so I'd like to welcome everybody. So while we're doing this, I'm just gonna, everybody should be able to see in their chat box, everyone who's on the call. We're not gonna go through a full introduction of everyone just because that's kind of hard on this kind of virtual meetup. But I do wanna say thank you very, very much for everybody being on and taking the time out to give back to the industry with our roofing technology think tank. Again, for those who just came on, my name is Heidi Ellsworth and I'm one of the board members. I would like to, first of all, welcome Joanne. She has joined RT3 and is, we asked her to speak. Jay actually has been working with Joanne, thank you Jay, to ask her to come speak today. So one of the things that we're talking about with technology isn't always just about the cloud or software or even robotics. It's about figuring out how to use things in a different way. Maybe even part of nature of items that are out there. And so for 30 years, I'm going to read a quick bio. Joanne Rodriguez has worked to advocate for healthy, affordable, durable building environments. Working across the many influencers of design and development, architects, engineers, building owners, and contractors, her experience is helping to influence an ever-expanding market on topics related to sustainability and impacts through water, waste, energy, and air as it applies to the built environment. So this is going to be a whole new look at using technology in a really, really cool way. Joanne has started a business, and that business has to do with myopic or with mushrooms and fungus. So I'm going to let her really kind of take the rest of it and talk through that. I just want to say, Joanne, I'm very excited. Seeing this presentation is pretty cool. So I'd ask everybody to mute except for Joanne so that we can hear her well. And Joanne, it's all yours.
Heidi, thank you so much, and apologies to everyone for my lack of technology of being able to get onto the web portion of this. I was really looking forward to it. But David, if you are on the title slide, you can see that we're going to talk about the bioremediation of roofing materials, or a product that we're pioneering called Mycocycle. And I do want to say a really big shout out to Heidi. Ever since our paths crossed at the Roofing Industry Alliance or Progress meeting in April, she's been a real champion of this as an innovation. And so I greatly appreciate that. And thank you, Jay, for inviting me to do the tech talk. So David, next slide. It should be a pretty slide of bitumen right here. And so if you say, what is this that you're looking at? You're looking at asphalt, which is an aqueous solution. In this particular picture, being fed on by mycelium root. We'll get into a little bit of what all of these things are, but mycelium root, for just in basic principle, is the root structure of a mushroom, of fungi. So, David, next slide. I'm here because I believe white rat mushrooms can change the roofing industry. Now, I'll give you a moment to think about that because that sounds kind of crazy and chaotic. But if you see our very unscientific experiment on the left side, you'll see a pail that's got asphalt shingles torn up in there and with a white product growing on it. That's actually the mycelium root feeding on the asphalt, which is an organic compound, so it does like it. And then you also see some mushrooms growing on the outside of that bucket. So this is a 7-day-old growth that is festering in my partner, Liz Hart Morris's garage. And we'll get into this a little bit more, but just kind of keep this in mind that these are a possibility. We've seen it happen. So next slide, please. So what we're really talking about is an opportunity to innovate. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ken Hakuda, but he had a show in the late 70s, early 80s about science innovation. And I kind of feel like we're in the middle of that science innovation cycle now, where there's the right economic environment, there's the right sustainable environment, and the right business environment to take something new on. So next slide. So why am I here? As Heidi said, I've got 30 years in the high performance roofing and building envelope field. I've been in positions ranging from estimator. When I was in college, I worked for a commercial painting company in Northeast Ohio, to the position I held last year, the Director of Sustainable and Strategic Initiatives for Tremco. I was with Tremco Roofing and Building Maintenance Division for 15 and a half years, and the Commercial Sealants Division for a year. And so it was with great experience that you learn about material manufacturing and the different needs in the chemistry, and certainly in the last 5 to 10 years, the advent of material chemistry and material transparency, which is something that we are all working on. But I knew the time was now. The time was to kind of forge my own path and fully launch GreenStructure, which was organized back in 2012 as a multidisciplinary firm, trying to lead a sustainable path for the built environment, but to also examine a sustainable path for managing the materials in the roofing industry. So we go to the next slide. I'm sorry if I'm speaking fast. I want to get to the good stuff. So, so GreenStructure is my company. We specialize in sustainable master planning. We engage in consulting, project management, business development, and training across all segments of the industry. And as you can see with the different listed experiences, my website, greenstructurelimited.com, was just revamped and launched last week. I encourage you to visit it. And we also work on environmental justice issues, which I think are very pertinent if you think about Flint and their water crisis. I think about housing crisis and healthy, affordable communities. And having all of this experience, I believe, would be a waste if I couldn't use it in a greater good scenario. So enough about me and enough about GreenStructure. Next slide, please. I want to talk about why we're here. We're talking about Mycocycle. And one of the leaders in mushroom sciences, Paul Stamets, said that fungi are the grand recyclers of the planet and the vanguard species in habitat restoration. Paul Stamets is a mycologist. So that's the study of mushrooms, of fungi. He has specialized in different strains and different applications. He's currently working with the Department of Defense in remediating chemical contaminated waste sites. And it's because of his work, over the last 30, 40 years that we know taking an interdisciplinary approach to this, that we should have great success in trying to address waste stream issues related to roofing. So if you go to the next slide, should be titled, Why Bioremediate Roofing? While at Tremco, leading the sustainability programs, we were charged with developing a roof recycling and landfill diversion program as a sales platform. In the development of that, we quickly realized that there were limited options for recycle or reuse of asphalt-based products because of the heavy metals and the polyaromatic hydrocarbons, the heavy carbons that were in there. And that didn't just pertain just to asphalt-based roofing materials, but also to single-ply products and the rest of the components, because once those components get adhered with mastics or adhesives, they're now contaminated, and most recyclers won't take them. Those generally have to be landfilled or incinerated. We give strong nod and recognition and appreciation for the recycling programs that do exist, primarily for the asphalt shingle market. But you still have to consider that if 11 to 13 million tons of asphalt shingles are torn off annually, there's only about 2 to 3 million tons that are being diverted and recycled. And so they're not widespread. We're going to start to see municipalities really coming out and banning certain products. We're already seeing certain products like asphalt being banned from municipal landfills. You know, obviously the problem is significant. From what we've found, roofing en masse is the largest volume of all construction and demolition waste streams. So it doesn't really get tracked by like this roof product or that wall product. But the estimates, if you follow the EPA and Environmental Research and Education Fund and CDRA, are between 60 and 100 million tons of roofing waste get landfilled annually. So we're looking at the biological processes that we've touched on, the pioneering that was put out there to say, why could we not bioremediate these materials, not just the asphalt-based ones, but all of them, using metabolic processes of the different organisms, so fungi, spores, and plant seeds, you know, I mean, just think of fruits and nuts, but without getting too deep in the woods, we believe that we can genetically or biologically engineer a natural technology for cleaning the pollution out of roofing materials. And it will have a much smaller environmental footprint than dumping, incinerating, or recycling. And even more exciting is that we believe we can develop a useful byproduct that could be rendered clean enough and redeveloped into a new material. So David, next slide. All right, we should be on from the roof to the roof. Just want to check in there, make sure we're on the same slide. But so our tagline, our thought process is, why could we not take those materials being torn off the roof, clean them up, and make them into something that can go back on the roof? We're going to get circular in our thinking. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the circular economy and closed loop manufacturing process, but that's essentially what we're talking about here for the roofing industry, that we would be able to take the landfilled materials and divert them, clean them up biologically with mycelium root, grow a new stock of mushrooms, of fungi, and use those materials. So we know that this is happening across the country. There's a company that's about 10 or 11 years old called Ecovative. They're not cleaning products, but they're growing fungi and mycelium root specifically for material development. So they're doing a portion of this already. They're based out of upstate New York, and they've actually been acting as advisors to us. But they are most known for replacing the styrofoam packaging with mycelium root, which is highly insulative and highly compressible and moldable. Well, now they're starting to get into interior wallboard materials and insulating materials because fungi carry these properties of insulation. We know that there's a company on the West Coast called Mycocycle. They are creating textiles out of mycelium root and also out of the fibers within mushrooms. Again, they're not breaking down or diverting a feedstock like roofing materials, but they are growing these products and using them in a manufacturing process. So in our line of thinking, we would say, why could we not get a multifaceted approach out of this? So David, if you go to the next slide. That brings us to our innovation, our technology called Mycocycle. Now, there is a patent pending on this. And basically what this is an engineered ecosystem designed to utilize mycelium root to render roofing products clean enough to meet new manufacturing specifications, thus establishing a closed-loop roofing economy. So those are a lot of thoughts in one statement, but we feel that not only can we do it, we should do it, and the time is perfect for this, and this industry is perfect for it. We feel like there's a lot of opportunity for innovation at every sector of the industry, for contractors, for manufacturers, for designers, that there's a real opportunity to innovate and lead in sustainable materials management, and to do it not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's can be very profitable to do. David, if you go to the next slide. I'll let you read all the words there, but basically November of 2017, Rubicon Global did an analysis and basically said that the circular manufacturing opportunity is a $2 trillion annual revenue opportunity. He's talking about the North American opportunities and the US Pacific, but you'll see bigger and wider investments being made globally in this marketplace because the technology is ripe for the taking, and we need to find a newer, cleaner feedstock of materials to go into our products. We are working closely with the U.S. Business Council for Sustainable Development out of Austin, Texas, and they have established, in conjunction with the EPA, these material marketplaces in Ohio, Tennessee, Austin, and I believe Portland is their next emerging market. They've already got studies there that show that essentially one man's trash is another man's treasure. So if you take the residual byproduct in manufacturing or excess waste or even virgin recyclables, and look to match that with the need and the specifications for the manufacture of new material, that there is a revenue savings. And they have a cost-benefit analysis, a case study done for Dow Chemical, where they went closed loop in their manufacturing across their division, and they were able to show a positive shareholder value and return on investment for doing so. So where are we now? You can go to the next slide, David. We are currently testing the most effective and efficient biological blend. Within the next 4 to 6 weeks from our testing, we ought to be able to enhance our patent even further with a specific blend intended for asphalt products. We're going to handle those first because we know we have the most direct line of success there. And then the intent would be to also work with materials manufacturers to see who might be interested in innovating with some of these byproducts to try to develop products to specifications for their manufacture. Liz Morris and I do not want to manufacture anything. We just want to be pioneers and innovators in this industry, and we know we can get this done. And then we want to move on to the other products within the roofing industry and potentially all of the C&D waste stream. We see great economic value and great sustainable value to doing this. And but we're happy to be doing this within the roofing industry. So hopefully this has spurred some thought process and maybe some questions even. I feel so bad that I can't even be on this webinar to see everybody, but I'm done with the bulk of my presentation. I'd like to open this up to any questions and also welcome you to follow me at Green Girl Now for updates, to send me an email direct. You see my email address and or visit the website.
Okay, well, you know what, and to keep the time going, Joanne, thank you so much. I just am so excited. I've been telling all kinds of people about mushrooms and fungus, and how cool it is to recycle roofing materials with that. And I'm really glad too that you shared where we can follow what's happening here, and that you're a part of RT3. That's just great. So thank you again.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate the opportunity, and I can't imagine a better group to have this be rolled out on, and to definitely try to drive the innovation. I applaud what's happening here, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So thank you.